This episode of the podcast is brought to you by patreon.com/lightscameranonsense. Visit patreon.com/lightscameranonsense to help support your favorite new movie podcast. Now, let's get started. And we are recording, and we are live.
Ew.
We're not live.
Oh, we're live.
You know what I mean.
We're living.
We're live to millions.
We're living large. Because we're all
Living
about
extra
that
large.
lifestyle.
That L
The
lifestyle.
large lifestyle. Not
Oh, man.
Not
I-
about that medium lifestyle.
No, I haven't fit in that medium lifestyle in years. So.
Yeah, same.
It's just a part of growing up, man. Medium is for, 25-year-olds, not for almost 30-year-olds.
Well, and especially when you're married, then you just start, running towards the large lifestyle as fast as possible because you're like, I'm happy. What do people do when they're happy? They eat more. And now,
exactly.
Now I'm part
That's
of the
how we'll
large
justify
lifestyle.
it. That's how we'll justify it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lights, Camera, Nonsense, where we give you all the latest movie magic you may have missed. I'm Nick No Swears Simmons.
And I have at least 20 less hairs than last time, Zach Smith.
No swears. I am committing to not swearing at all during this podcast.
Are you holding
Let's
that?
see how it goes.
Are you holding me to that, or
No. No. I'm not.
because you
one
should probably
to
let me
throw
know
color.
that if you're trying to
I'm not
get
gonna
into the non-explicit tag on iTunes.
Whoa. Now let's just see how it goes. And on July 18th, let's roll into the previews. Zach, what have you been watching?
So unlike last time we talked, I watched way less things. So mine will go relatively quickly, especially since one of mine I know you saw as well.
Yeah.
But first up, I watched a little horror movie called The Taking of Deborah Logan.
I think I've seen the poster for it. It's that old
Yes.
woman with the glowing eyes or whatever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if it was the original release where it was a red cover and she
Yeah.
was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie's kind of weird in terms of streaming rights because I guess originally it was released in 2014 or something like that, a couple years ago, and then Shudder, the streaming platform Shudder, bought the streaming rights and then re-released it under the same. It's the same exact movie, but it's listed separately. So if you go on Amazon, and I think Shudder is partly owned, if not mostly owned by Amazon. They have both listings for the original 2014 version and the new 2019 or 2020 version or whatever.
There's no difference whatsoever.
And they're different covers too, so I had to look at the cast list to see okay,
and the year
the
and
exact
the
same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a found footage film, which there are a plethora and they vary widely in quality. This is one of, I think,
That bit didn't work.
better ones. I am kind of stumped though because it's been on my radar for a while, and I had always heard really good things, and the reviews are really nice. I think it's sitting somewhere mid 80s to maybe even 90s on the tomato meter. So I went into it with relatively high expectations, and it's good. But I think it still falls into kind of the same normal trappings of any found footage film that you would stumble on anyway. Whereas you have kind of the sometimes baffling logic that goes on. So so essentially the way this is set up is it's this group of college students, and they're doing a thesis or some kind of final project based on the study of Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Alzheimer's.
Old timers.
Yeah. So
That's how I
they
remember.
have come into contact with this woman and her elderly mother who is suffering. Is it? Yeah, now I gotta look it up because I can't remember if it's dementia or Alzheimer's. And it's kind of important too.
Do you know who who's the main lead? Do you know?
It's no one. No one.
Oh, okay. So it's a pretty no A-list actors or actresses that most people would recognize or anything.
It's a sparse cast.
Okay. Well, with most found footage, they try to give you the realism of like, ooh, it could be real.
Oh, yeah.
With Blair Witch Project, I don't recognize anybody. Maybe it's because they've never been seen again. That kind of thing.
Let's see.
But I mean, every once in a while, you'll get a Cloverfield, or you'll get a Last Exorcism where you recognize one of the actors, and you're like, wait a second, this isn't real. This isn't a documentary. And of course, at the base level, you wouldn't recognize that.
So
what was it? It
is Alzheimer's. So they're doing this final project to kind of delve into the study, and they frame it in that it's not just a study on the person suffering from Alzheimer's. It's also a study on how Alzheimer's affects those who have to deal with it, like who is taking care primarily of the person suffering from the disease. Which they it seems like they make a big deal about, but it really doesn't, like that whole facet of it just kind of like,
it's just the framing device, really.
You're kind of like, it leads you to believe like, oh, okay, so like the real subject might be the woman taking care of her mother as opposed to the mother herself. But it's not really. And so
we don't have a psycho situation going on.
So while they're there, they're taking footage of like how this mother is dealing with the disease, and like she'll forget things or she'll leave a window open and that kind of stuff. And she's very like contained. She likes her privacy. So initially she's like, I don't really want to do this. I changed my mind. Sorry, I know you drove a long way, but I don't really want to do this anymore. And then her daughter has to convince her to do it because they need the money for her care. So
I know that game.
And they're getting a pretty sizable paycheck from this college who's doing the study, right. I suppose. So, and it eventually, devolves into like, oh, it's not really a disease that's happening here. It's more of like a possession sort of thing. And then it's linked to like a local child murder type deal and like satanic rituals and whatnot. And still, again, standard fare for your found footage stuff. There's some pretty creepy things that like are done, but
is it mostly jump scares still? Actually,
no. It shies away from a lot of jump scares. Good. There are occasions where, again, it falls into the trap of like, we're gonna, because your field of view is just the camera. We're going to pan over this way, and then when we come back, there's the mom just standing there who wasn't there before, or, this window was nailed shut by like 20 nails, and when we pan over this way and then pan back, it's open and all the nails are gone. And
oh, snap. Wow.
There is a scene. This movie is pretty grotesque, I will say. There's scenes that like legit made me squirm, like skin peeling type stuff. So if you're adverse to that sort of thing, maybe.
So like don't eat while you're watching this movie.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, I would say that.
Spaghetti or lasagna, and like you're just watching somebody's skin getting peeled off.
Yeah, especially also at one point, the mom, for reasons that are made apparent later, ends up vomiting like a mound of dirt and worms. Gross. Randomly. Yeah, it's pretty gross at times. I wouldn't say it's like amazing like I had been seeing all this time, but for a found footage film that again still suffers the same problems, it's it's not bad. It doesn't make me mad or anything, although there are, again, some logic leaps that are like, okay, this person this is a college study that you're doing, and acts of extreme violence and threats have happened. Why are you not leaving? Yeah. And one of the guys on the team is like that voice of reason the entire time, but like when you have that voice of reason, you need someone to listen to him too. Otherwise, it's just like he's the crazy guy because he doesn't want to stick around and be murdered, you know?
Making the one sensible decision.
Yeah.
Like, even in horror movies, when I try to watch them and you hear that voice of reason coming from a character who sees what's going on and realizes that, hey, we should get the hell out of here. Like, if I was that person, I would be getting the hell out of there after saying that, like, hey, I'm leaving, you can come with me. And I know that has happened in horror movies, and that person just ends up straight dying.
Right.
But the fact that, like, that doesn't automatically happen in every horror movie is just baffling to me sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, there's legitimately a scene where the house that they're staying at while they're recording all this is getting shot at. Like, not even... It stops being like it's supernatural throughout most of it, but there are points where it's not supernatural violence. Like, these are legit threats,
and ghosts have guns.
They're being shot at for a college study. Like, fuck that shit. I'm out of here, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, oh yeah, I believe in ghosts and stuff, and everything that's happening is totally happening. But also, we're getting shot at, which is also a very real thing. So let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm not. So this is not worth it.
Yeah, for many reasons, not just the supernatural ones, but the natural ones.
And so that was that. Take it as you will. And then the other thing I watched was The Old Guard.
Yeah. So I after I had watched this, or actually I was in the middle of watching it when I texted you and recommended this to you. And I know in the past we've kind of covered your you don't stay away from action movies necessarily, but it's not normally you tread lightly and you kind of just go into it not really expecting much from an action movie.
So, and I actually watched this last night. And I watched The Bump. I was like, you know what? I've really only watched one thing for the podcast. I should watch something else. So I was looking around for something to watch, and I almost jumped on Batman versus Superman. But I was like, I don't want to suffer for 3 hours right now.
Yeah, you have to fully commit. You have to have a definite reason for doing that.
Well, technically, there is a reason in the docket today, but...
that's true.
I still don't want to do it. So, I was browsing, and then I hit up Netflix, and I scrolled over The Old Guard, and it did The Bump, and like it does tell you like generally what the special conceit of the movie is, but by all accounts, that Bump I don't think really does any favors for it if you're someone like me who, again, like typically stays away from your standard action fare.
Yeah. But I think it's because it tries to stay away from the spoiler.
Right. And then initially I was like, maybe I'll keep looking. And then I didn't really find anything. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll go ahead and just jump in. So I did. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. So
it's starring Charlize Theron, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Dudley from the Harry Potter series. Yeah. Which was amazing to me. Yeah. He very much looks like the character he's supposed to be portraying.
He does. He plays like your stereotypical like tech giant. Yeah,
Silicon
guy.
Valley villain.
Yeah. Where he's like he's the villain, but he's like wearing white sneakers, like slacks.
Did Jesse? You won't get the reference. Yeah. It's Jesse Eisenberg in fucking Batman v Superman. So. You would have gotten that reference if you had seen Batman v Superman.
Yeah. I just kept thinking of Mark Zuckerberg, but I guess
same difference.
Yeah.
But what did you think of? And it's based off a graphic novel.
Greg Rucka. Yep.
Greg Rucka, who I didn't know this until after I had already started watching the movie. I was kind of doing a little research while watching it. And apparently it's super popular, and that this was in production, planning to be a theatrical release, I think, originally.
I don't know if that's true, because what I read is they were generally always in talks with Netflix.
Okay.
But yeah, it was like the first run. So there's the first series and then a sequel series. Spoilers if you didn't know that there was going to be a sequel, but considering it's like one of Netflix's best performing movies ever, then they're gonna do the sequel.
Oh yeah, I'm actually really excited. I was gonna talk about the action. What did you think about the action choreography and the action set pieces for this movie?
Yeah, it was really great. I think you said did you say that the fight choreographer worked on John Wick?
I think he did. I'm pretty sure. Well, I know that the director of John Wick. No, I said it was John Wick-like, I think.
Okay.
In my text to you. But just because that there is some gun fu / old-fashioned... the fight choreography definitely takes full advantage of the gunplay, and because these characters have had experience with these weapons, there's battle axes, there's samurai swords being used.
Right.
And while there is only a good handful of these action set pieces... in between the drama and the story buildup of over the course of the movie, you feel the impact of them because of how well choreographed they are and how well they're filmed and how well they're acted out. I think I could totally believe Charlize Theron would fully commit to learning all of this choreography so that she can do all this stuff herself.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I really liked the characters. I'll let you get into it because this is your section of what you watched, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I'll just piggyback off that and say, yeah, I thought the action scenes were really well done. The director, Gina Prince Bythewood, I think I'm saying that right. She hasn't really done much with, or really anything with action scenes, but I think that like the way she approaches them is a huge benefit for, again, someone like me who is not like, I mean, I think I've talked about it before where I tried to watch The Expendables and I had to stop it after like 15 minutes because I was just like, this is fucking awful. And I don't want to sit here and waste my time with this. And I like action that's different. So, I like John Wick. I like, like martial arts movies like Ip Man and shit. Not so much like the military. That's why I haven't jumped on Extraction yet, which you've talked about before.
Yeah.
The Chris Hemsworth one on Netflix. Was it Chris Hemsworth?
Yes, Chris Hemsworth, and it was it was written by one of the Russo brothers. Yeah.
That's why I haven't really jumped on that one yet, because that one just looks like your standard military type action shooter movie. So like that doesn't really appeal to me, but what is done here is you kind of use those action set pieces sparingly, and they're there for a reason too. They work narratively as well as just like violence gratification, Right.
It's not a transition from one set piece area to another set piece area.
Right, exactly. And I think it works great. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, because especially the beginning, it kind of starts off a little meh for me. It starts off, Charlize Theron is walking through the streets in some Middle Eastern country. I don't remember where they are.
I think it's like Somalia or something.
And like they are contacted for a deal. So basically the premise is the old guard, this group of people that Charlize Theron leads, does jobs that typically can't be done by anyone else. And the reason they're able to succeed at those jobs more often than not is because they can't die.
Right.
Well, they can die, as it's established pretty early on that they can die, but like if they're shot 30,000 times, they just heal back up. Or if they crash in a plane, it doesn't phase them.
There are rules to how all of this science fiction works in this movie, and I feel like we miss out on some of the like minutia on how, like, if let's say somebody chops off Charlize Theron's head, what happens then? It's not sort of they stitch back together, because really the only way that they die, and spoiler, the only way that they die for the most part in this movie is that they either get shot or stabbed, and so it's something that they can kind of just heal back to.
Right.
Whereas
Well,
it's not.
They do take impact blows too. You know, they're falling off of
Right.
buildings at points, and then you see like all their bones that have been contorted and broken. There's a scene on the plane. So in this group, it's composed of four of them. Four of them originally.
Yeah.
And then they get a new person named Niall, and I'm trying to remember.
She's in the Marines.
Kiki Lane, yeah.
Yeah,
she's a Marine who is killed while on duty because her partner's an idiot, by the way.
Yeah. There's. I'm sorry to interject,
yeah,
but due to my background, I was able to watch the scene play out where they're trying to take control of this area and take out any insurgents. And they are using actual tactics. And this is what I love about action movies, especially more recently, including Extraction, which you brought up. When they use actual military tactics and use them correctly, it shows. And especially for the people who know those tactics, it's appreciated.
Right.
And it looks more realistic because as opposed to somebody who goes in guns blazing, you know, even for a movie like this with this sci-fi element, it doesn't always work, and they don't even use those tactics. Yeah, and Charlize Theron and the Old Guard and how they use those tactics, even though they don't necessarily have to, really kind of it takes home the point that this is something that they've been doing for so long, and something that they're so used to, and something that they do constantly in order to get the jobs done, in order to make the world a better place. Anyway, I really enjoyed Niall's introductory scene and how it kind of brings her into the fold, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, so Kiki Lane's character, Niall, she's killed in action, but then she survives, and it's discovered that there's a telepathic link, I guess, with all of the members of the Old Guard, that they will have visions of one another until they, come back together. So then Charlize Theron sets out to bring Niall back with her. And there's a scene in a plane where, you know, Niall's kind of going through that whole, I don't really want to accept this, and you are sketchy, and, I don't trust you. So then they have kind of a nice fist fight in the plane. But, Charlize Theron legit breaks bones in that.
Oh, yeah.
And then they, mend back together. And at one point, one of them has their entire stomach blown up by
just
a grenade.
Explode, and then it kind of fuses back together. I really enjoyed the fact that if they didn't have this sci-fi element in it, it still would be a clever action movie. But the fact that the sci-fi elements kind of ironically stitch this whole movie together and make it even more appealing in a unique and interesting way lends itself to the way you enjoying this movie. So
well, and again, I think having a director that is not a typical action movie director on there really helps this stand apart, because then when you're investing more into your characters, that makes the action set pieces more investing as well, because you are concerned about the people who are in those scenes. Character development, I think, is a huge, huge strength in this as well. They have a really great LGBTQ relationship in there that is fantastic representation in two genres that are generally pretty underrepresented in terms of gay relationships.
I actually find those two characters to be my favorites.
They're fantastic, and there's some really funny one-liners and back and forth with them. Occasionally, it does show its hand a little bit in terms of plot progression. I think
it's a little slow in the middle.
To me, it's done so well that I don't really tropes. They often get a lot of flack, but they are a tool and they're there for a reason. So when they're utilized well, and which I think they are here, then there's not really a downside other than the fact you recognize, oh, that's a trope. But if you watch enough movies, then you're just gonna do that anyway. Or really just invest in any form of storytelling, because they all transcend the same media formats. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice surprise, and I am very excited for a sequel.
That's good. That's good to hear. Yeah, because of the way that they set it up, and it was kind of a cool, interesting cliffhanger. I honestly wasn't expecting it, but oops, there's a cliffhanger. Yeah. And considering the success of how this performed, hopefully we'll get a sequel sooner rather than later. So, apparently, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say the director previously directed Secret Life of Bees, and then was going to direct Silver and what was it? Silver and Black. Yeah, which was supposed to come out last year. So that's just interesting.
You just reminded me of another thing I wanted to say. It is that if you didn't already know that this was a comic book movie, you would absolutely be able to tell. If you've read comics, you can kind of recognize like panel format and like layout. And for sure, like I could when I was watching this, I could literally see the panels that they were recreating in film, and that's always really nice because there's some great shot composition here, lending itself to recreating those panels. And that end credits or mid credits stinger you were talking about is directly lifted from from the sequel comic book series. And throughout the movie they have scenes that are just panels recreated from the original series as well. So again, just I think what it really boils down to, and I can't say it enough, is just how nice and fresh it feels to have an action movie that is not like all machismo and I'm gonna have 2 machine guns and I'm killing like indescript enemies,
faceless enemies and waves of them and everything. Yeah, that's true. It's always nice to get a good, refreshing action movie, and and especially when it brings people out of their comfort zone, like you, who don't normally stray that way.
Yep. And I think we already said it too. Choreography is fantastic. So.
Oh yeah. There's one specific scene where I think when you find out that they're immortal and they get back up and they just wipe this room full of guys. Yes. There's a particular moment where one of them, I think, shoots a guy in the stomach with a shotgun and then just tosses it to another person, and they grab it and immediately aim it up and shoot it at somebody's face, and it's beautiful.
They do something similar later on in a hallway too, where they're all running down a hallway, and one of them throat punches a guy, and he doubles over,
falls down.
But the guy who throat punched him keeps going forward. So again, they're using that squad tactics where they're working as a team, and then the guy behind him comes up and shoots that dude in the face, and
so it's not like just 1v1 for each of these characters.
Right. They are working as a unit, which is really cool. It's again different to see. Charlize Theron is very much a focal point of the movie, but she's not the focal point. So it's not just her. She does have scenes where she takes out a group of soldiers on her own, but it's not just her quest, it's also
it's
very
everybody's.
Each person has their own individual driving factors on why they do what they do, but then it also is focusing a lot on Nile, the newer initiate, which is a good perspective, I feel.
The audience member proxy.
But all that to say is a long-winded way of saying you should watch this movie.
It's probably still in the top 10 trending on Netflix, I believe. And check it out. I want to talk about. Did you see anything else, by the way? Sorry, before I.
No, that was it. That was it for me. So you're all good to go. What did you watch?
Well, I watched a lot because I'm never sure on how much you're gonna watch. So I watched The Old Guard, and we just talked about that. I watched Palm Springs on Hulu, which, if you haven't heard anything about this movie,
I didn't until you had mentioned it the other day, and then I went and watched the trailer. And I'm like,
dang it! I was gonna say I should have said in the group chat when I mentioned it, don't watch the trailer and just watch it. because the less you know about it, the better the movie is. Because it stars, oh my gosh,
Andy Samberg
and the female actress, Palm Springs. Camila Mendes. Nope, that's from Riverdale. She's from Riverdale. Kristen Milotti, who's been in a whole bunch of stuff.
She was the mother on How I Met Your Mother.
She's the mother in How I Met Your Mother. That's and Wolf of Wall Street. And yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, Palm Springs. It's a very quick hour and a half film that starts off as it's this
typical
young woman who's
thing.
she's at her sister's wedding and she doesn't want to be there, and then she sees this guy played by Andy Samberg who seems to know everything that's going to happen and everything that you need to do or say in order to look like the cool guy at the party.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden so they try to hook up because she's like, this guy's interesting. They try to hook up outside of the party when all of a sudden he gets shot in the back by an arrow. And he's like, damn it, and starts getting chased by this mysterious guy. And crawls into a cave and tells her, hey, I won't go through the whole movie, but crawls into a cave and disappears, and she follows him into the cave and then wakes up. And it's the previous day before, that they just experienced. So she gets caught into a time loop with Andy Samberg and then tries to find her way out and tries to figure out what's going on exactly. And it is a romantic comedy, but it's also more of a dark comedy than it is a romantic comedy. They go through a lot of loops and in order to try to figure this out. And it's great. It also stars J.K. Simmons and the guy who plays Schmidt's dad in New Girl. I can't remember his name. I just had the cast list up. Peter Gallagher. And it's really great, and it's really a quick film. It's literally 90 minutes, and I highly recommend it. That's all I'll say really about it. Go watch it. It's currently up there in like one of my top 10 favorite movies this year so far. Nice. So that and Old Guard for sure. There's been a lot of good movies this year.
Hulu just came out like a week ago, I think, or when did it? Maybe less than that, because I know
Hulu's been out for years, Zach.
No,
Got 'em.
They announced it was like their highest streamed premiere ever, like movie premiere ever.
For Palm Springs
was
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because it was. And I'm going to totally butcher this, but I think it was also supposed to be a theatrical release. No? Hulu? It was supposed to be Hulu. All right. Anyway, I watched that. Great film. And then I watched, totally on a whim, I saw the name Tom Hanks, and I'm like, I have to watch this because why not? It's an Apple TV original. Most people probably have that because you're all iPhone users.
No. You don't just get it for free.
No, you're all iPhone users.
It's a subscription. No, I haven't even done a trial for Apple TV. So
don't they give you like a code when you sign up for an iPhone or whatever? No,
I mean maybe, but I haven't signed up for an iPhone since I got the one I have now, which was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Man, upgrade your phone, man.
It works, so I'm not going to. No.
The movie I'm talking about is Greyhounds, starring Tom Hanks, and it's also written by Tom Hanks, which is awesome because the amount of research that he would have had to have done for this film is outstanding. But it's another super quick hour and a half long movie, which most World War II movies aren't. They're like 2.5 hour long epics.
Very lengthy and drawn out.
But what I like about this movie is the fact of how short it is, despite the content that they're covering. No,
it sounds like a dig. Like the only good thing about this movie is how short it is, so you don't have to suffer.
It's not the only good thing. No, I'm saying it's good because of how quickly paced it is. Yeah. Because the whole premise of this film is it takes place during a expedition from the eastern coast of the United States to Great Britain. So they're traveling across the Atlantic during 1942. Sorry, there's a fruit fly somewhere. During World War II, just a couple months after the U.S. had entered World War II. And so they're going across this great expanse of ocean, and they're being escorted by the Greyhound and several other ships. But the Greyhound mostly, because it has Tom Hanks on it. And it's an hour and a half of them constantly having to deal with U-boats and enemy ships as they try to traverse across what's called the Black Pit. The dialogue... Dangerous. It is. It's very dangerous because over the course of World War II, I think there was like over 37,000 ships that sank during World War II as they were trying to cross.
I can't fact check you, so...
there you go, folks.
Technically I could, but I'm not doing that.
It'll state it at the end of the film. But it's... the dialogue and the character interaction and how they deal with the situations, it's... I'm not going to say that I know everything about what it was like to be on a United States Navy boat or vessel or anything during World War II.
You don't?
I don't. I'm not.
This whole time, I thought you just looked. You had some kind of really healthy living regimen.
I am a time traveler. I have gone to World War II.
I like how
the Atlantic and the.
Your explanation is time travel. My explanation is just took care of yourself.
I was trying to justify it, but yeah, skincare as opposed to time travel. One is way more likely. And it's time travel.
It's time travel. Yeah,
not skincare. But. It was kind of, it felt more like I was watching like found footage of an actual expedition across the sea. It was, I can't really get into it any more than saying that the way that they were describing everything, and like I said, it's very quickly paced. So if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss some of the like, wait, what did the sonar guy say? And you're going to miss a lot of the build up to the action and the payoff to those scenes. But it's an amazing movie. What's up?
I was going to say, is it kind of like if you took like a dramatized version of something that was shown on the History Channel and then just like put a budget behind it?
Right, like a dramatic recreation of this excursion, which actually took place. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, basically. It's if you gave... and it's based off of a book, which I assume they... took a lot of dialogue from, but I highly recommend it. I think Tom Hanks did a phenomenal job. It also had Stephen Graham in there, who you've seen him in a million things, but you just don't know his name. And I'll just keep moving on because I watched Beverly Luff Linn, which is on Netflix. Has Craig Robinson, Jermaine Clement from What We Do in the Shadows, Matt Berry from What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, and IT Crowd. Aubrey Plaza. It's got Emile Hirsch. And then it has a whole bunch of random character actors who haven't been in anything. It's it's one of these movies where it has the dialogue of what seems to be a 12-year-old who doesn't really know how to write a screenplay. Like, it's... Do you remember watching Napoleon Dynamite for the first time and going, what the hell is this? How did this get made?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of dialogue. Like, it's all very cringy.
Boy, I'm not going to watch this movie then.
It had a whole bunch of comedians and actors in it where I'm like, how did they all say yes to this? Like, 10 minutes in, I was watching this with my mom, and she's like, this is melting my mind right now, how weird this is. Like... Just the dialogue and the way that characters overact and everything, it's like it has to be on purpose, but for some reason it's unexplainable.
Does it feel like it's just a bunch of different bits strung together?
It seems that way. Like a lot of the scenes are... I mean, it's got a budget behind it, an independent budget, but a well-sized budget, because how are you going to afford all of these actors, especially the Aubrey Plazas and the Craig Robinsons, who I'm sure this shoot was like 15 days and then they were done.
Well, what you're telling me is it smacks very much of someone on the production team or a showrunning team or whatever that is friends with everyone that showed up, and they all did a favor for that person.
It might be one of those. It might be one of those, hey, do you want to do this movie? It'll take like 10 days and we'll pay you this much for it. And what actor is not going to say that for who isn't a Chris Pine or a Chris Hemsworth or like a big Hollywood star, that has I don't know, common sense. But it basically, I can't even really describe the plot. Just watch The Bump on Netflix, and if that is your jam, then enjoy. It was weird. I didn't even finish it. I watched 75% of the movie, and then I was just like, nah, I can't even. How? I can't even justify watching the last quarter of this movie.
It's not worth my time, no.
It's not worth my time, even though I've committed like an hour and a half to it. There's still another 30 minutes to it.
The time I have left is more valuable to me than understanding how any of this ends.
The last 30 minutes of my life are more valuable to me.
I will get 30 more minutes on my deathbed if I don't watch the end of this movie.
If I don't watch the final act of this movie. So, yeah. And then I've been watching more Doom Patrol, which I will go ahead and...
For some reason, you said Doom Patrol, and my mind immediately went to Paw Patrol.
Paw Patrol? Well, I mean, that was my next one right after Doom Patrol.
You'll be there on the double.
Yeah. And now I just want to see a Doom Patrol Paw Patrol crossover. That'd be amazing.
Wow, yeah, that would be a hell of an audience to target.
Yeah, you're targeting everybody with that. I think it's probably my favorite DC show I've ever watched. It's probably the best produced one.
How many DC shows have you watched? You've actually watched a fair bit.
Let's see. Arrow, Flash, Legends of Tomorrow,
I forget.
Stargirl, Batwoman. Yeah. All of these shows, I have at least tried more than one episode.
I always forget that you did that to yourself.
Yeah. I got really into Arrow and Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, and what was the other one? I watched Constantine. All of these things. I'm watching Harley Quinn right now, which I know is an animated show, but
and it's good. So
it's which ironically has the same villain in both shows, but. Doom Patrol, I think, is the best acted. It's got really great representation across just about every margin, I think. I won't get really into it, but I'm really close to finishing season 1, and season 2 started, so I'll keep watching then. And yeah, just enjoying that. And then I started watching Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, which came out earlier this year. This... it's created by Rob McElhenney from
video game
It's Always
one,
Sunny.
Yeah.
Yes, where he's the creator of an MMO, and it also has Rickety Cricket in it, who's also a writer and executive producer. And what's strange about this is I thought that this was going to be a super terribly written show, but from what I've seen the first 4 episodes. It's actually really decent.
I always heard pretty okay things about the show. So
I thought it was going to be more of a Big Bang Theory than a Silicon Valley. Gotcha. I thought that they were going to treat it more with like that's the framework, is that they're a video game company and they're making this big new expansion for their game, but
that's fun.
They're actually tackling subjects in the video game community and video game industry.
Well, Rob's a pretty big gamer, I think.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like they're tackling representation, like women in the video game industry in the episode that I'm watching, and it's interesting. They're tackling Nazis, basically mental health. It's really. I was supposed to hate this show. I thought it was going to be like unfunny. The dialogue was going to be really cringe. Ashley Birch is in this show, which is she's playing herself. I think that's amazing. The cast it's really well cast. I'm going to continue watching it. I actually enjoy it. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure it got renewed. I think it got renewed.
I think so, yeah.
So awesome. Cool. And I think that's... I watched Yojimbo, also known as Inferno, Last Man Standing, Sukiyaki Western Django, Django, Omega Doom, The Warrior and the Sorceress, A Fistful of Dollars, which Akira Kurosawa really sued Sergio Leone for. But I watched the original Yojimbo, directed by Akira Kurosawa, because Ghost of Tsushima came out. So I was kind of getting in the framework of that. And it's such a good movie. So it's older, it's slower paced. It was made in the early 60s. It's a foreign...
Yeah.
But so there was a lot going for it for the average moviegoer that wouldn't necessarily jump into Yojimbo as their first.
Well, yeah, but is that going to be the first one you stumble upon anyway? As a average moviegoer who's dipping their toe into that water?
It'll probably be a Seven Samurai or a Ran or a Kagemusha. But
if you're familiar with the genre, that movie is like you know what you're getting,
right? But it's good. And so I was really busy watching a lot of TV while also moving into this new apartment.
You're presenting from a new location.
I got art right there in a closet. I should probably close that.
I have art too.
Oh, gross.
Voguing.
Gross.
Eat your heart out, Madonna.
Ew.
Let's rude. Fuck you.
Ew. Let's dive into the news.
Yes, let's. So we did something a little different this time. We'll peel back the curtain a little bit. I sent you the docket before we started recording. So did you by chance have a chance to look at the docket, or
I saw the headlines.
Okay,
but I was, like I said, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, so I was a little bit distracted.
I figured
you sent it to me. So I have it here in front of me. Go ahead and start.
Okay, so we're gonna start from the top. First up is HBO Max, for whatever reason, has swapped out the version of Batman vs Superman that they offer on the service. Originally, when they launched, it was the theatrical version, and they have since swapped it out with the over 3 hour Ultimate Edition. This is what I was talking about in terms of almost jumping on watching this, but again, I did not want to spend the time.
Yeah, it's a big time commitment. I was actually going to say, finally, I actually really appreciate it because when I watched Dr. Sleep and we covered it in not the last podcast, was that last podcast?
It was the last one, yeah.
When I watched the director's cut of that, I actually appreciated the way that they formatted that film in the director's cut as opposed to what I assumed the theatrical cut, which is missing probably like 20, 30 minutes of content, which I want to try to absorb as much of that movie as I can with any director's cut or whatever you want to say.
Well, a director's cut can seriously alter a film, you know?
Yeah, like a Blade Runner.
Or Kingdom of Heaven. You know, that thing was unwatchable in its theatrical run.
So when I was rewatching all the DC movies more recently, I couldn't find the Ultimate Cut anywhere. I had to literally rent it from Google Play, and
bold on you to spend more money on that.
Well, there was that, or I could watch the theatrical version again, and I'd rather get the closest to the vision that they were trying to, vision. That they were
so you've seen both then, the theatrical and the Ultimate.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters and I saw the Ultimate.
Is the Ultimate one I'm
going to totally go against my argument. No, it's not even worth it. Right. Like it adds scenes to, and I might be confusing this with Justice League, which ironically will get fixed.
This is the one that's rated R, correct? That was part of the Ultimate version as well, as they bumped up the rating because of the violence.
Yeah. But like they add 2-minute scenes of a character that got cut from the film because the actor kind of complained about it on the internet once. Who was it? It was Jenna Malone, I think. She plays like an analyst or whatever. No, she plays Barbara Gordon, I think, in the film. Yeah.
All right.
And she's like analyzing the bullet or whatever that Lois Lane is trying to figure out where it came from. And there's a whole subplot that basically Lois Lane's subplot is cut from the Ultimate Edition to make the theatrical release shorter. Like she's just going around saying, "Hey, whose bullet is this?" And she,
whose bullet is this?
It's in a little baggie.
Where is
he? So she goes to Barbara Gordon, who's played by Jenna Malone, and they totally cut that part. And there was another scene that kind of alluded more to Joker killing Robin, but it's like a quick one-line throwaway thing. So
cool. I'll jump on it. I'll jump on it one day, but
yeah, eventually. I mean, if you need, again, we've talked about it in the past. If you need a watching partner, just let me know. I'll commit to it. I'll strap myself in. I've seen it twice already, the Ultimate Edition and the theatrical edition. So I've seen this movie 4 times.
You to that though.
Yeah, we'll get drunk. How about that?
That's fair.
Or I'll get drunk.
That's fair.
So
there are worse reasons. So moving on, some production news in terms of movies that had been halted but are now set to resume. But
in a country UK. That's actually in a country that's actually handling this pandemic in the correct manner. Well, a little bit more than we are.
Did you see pictures of that day? Like immediately after they lifted the sanctions? Because anyway,
I forgot. The UK is just this.
It's a hell
the
of
European
a
version of us. Yeah.
Hold up. My dog is coughing.
Bless you. Wait, no, cough. What's the cough version of that? Cough bless you.
It's actually, I said coughing, but it is more like sneezing. It's inverse sneezing.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. She's done now. Anyway, so production on certain films in the UK it's going to be allowed to start back up, and they will be exempt from quarantine rules. But they have like specific guidelines in place on top of those rules that they're exempt from. It's very strange.
Exempt?
What?
I was just going to say exempt from quarantine rules. Do they see how that sounds?
I'm sure.
Do they hear how that sounds?
Because they want the money from the film shoots.
Sorry.
So among those that are going to be allowed to resume production. Now, this isn't saying that these are resuming production. It's just that they will be allowed to. Although from the story that I have from the Hollywood Reporter, it does sound like for sure Mission Impossible 7 will be one of the ones that is in fact resuming. But there's that one. You have Jurassic World Dominion. There is the next Fantastic Beasts movie. There was something. Oh, the Batman.
We don't.
And there.
I was just gonna say we don't need another Fantastic Beasts movie. That's. You can hold off on that indefinitely. We're all right. Nobody's clamoring for that.
Yeah, I was fine with the last one because it was not good. So. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by you were fine with it because it was not
like
good?
I'm fine with that being the end. Don't do any more.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Because it wasn't good, and I don't want to sit through another 2.5 hours of subpar to not good movie.
There you go. That's fair.
So yeah, those are on the list of things that we could possibly see get back into the swing of things, and these are short shoots. From what it sounds like, specifically, I think the Batman was like doing a 3-week shoot or something over there on location. So it's just like a portion of the movie, not entirely. But yeah, so yeah. I mean, why? You know,
did they say? I'm sorry, I didn't read the article. Are they going to be like in studios that they can like they can actually sterilize?
No. I mean, I would hope they would sterilize whatever but they're going to have sets. It's going to be outside and around or whatever.
Sorry, they're going to have sex?
They're going to have sex.
Oh, okay.
Sets. You know,
sets. I knew what you said, but it sounded it's going to have sex. I wanted that to be on the audio version of the podcast.
Is that going to be the title? They're going to have sex.
They're going to have sex. Batman, Mission Impossible, they're going to have sex.
This week on Lights, Camera, Nonsense, they're going to have sex.
That'll ring them in. That'll get all the viewers, all the listeners.
I think that would probably get flagged from Apple, so maybe don't do that one.
Yeah.
I mean, why not make rules and then immediately find ways to circumvent them for people who are offering you money?
Are they even getting tax breaks from like moving production to UK? I mean, I assume a lot of them were already scheduled to work in the UK, but
I would assume,
are they getting tax breaks?
I mean, I assume they were probably already going to shoot there, and there are also probably significant tax breaks as well. I mean, that's basically how all shooting goes. It's like what's easiest and less expensive.
That's fair.
Moving on, Jude Law is in talks to play Captain Hook in the upcoming live-action Peter Pan movie that Disney is producing.
We need. I'm an executive. I'm
okay. Armchair CEO. Yeah.
Hi. So we need a charismatic British villain who doesn't mind being typecast as so, and we need him to be both menacing and charming at the same time. I'm thinking Jude Law. Let's get Jude Law.
That's good. That's good. You know, he's not British, but would Christoph Waltz be like a
much better Hook?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel bad for him because he's been playing... Anytime he plays a hero character, it seems weird because he's been typecast as this either villain or anti-hero character in almost all of his movies.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of them. Even in a movie where he played just an angry father, he was the villain in that movie.
Depends on what year of his filmography you're talking about. Because his early career, not so much. He was more of a hero type person.
Well, when he broke in Hollywood, I should say, with Inglourious Basterds. So from that point onward.
Oh, you're talking about Christoph Waltz. I was talking about Jude Law.
No, I don't care about Jude Law. I asked, who cares if he plays Hook? Who cares? I mean, cool. They're doing Peter Pan again. Awesome. Remember Pan?
Yeah.
Remember Hugh Jackman? I know he wasn't playing Hook, but remember? Yeah. Garrett Hedlund was playing Hook. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Remember Tron. Garrett Hedlund? Yeah.
Tron Legacy was good, man. I don't know.
No, it's a lot of something. Yeah. I mean Garrett Hedlund, not Tron Legacy. Who cares about Tron Legacy?
I do.
We're getting Tron 3. Did you put that in the thing? You didn't put that in the docket. We're getting Tron 3.
It's a rumor. I'm not putting rumors in there.
Like the whole album?
Yes. Yeah.
That's a music.
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. So we got a lot. We got a lot going on here.
So we have a kind of a double whammy here in both terms of Universal news and in horror news. So I'll start off with the bad news first because I feel like the bad news is like, I kind of saw that one coming. And then the good news is really good news.
Yeah. Hopefully it will change this bad news.
Yes. The bad news is that Universal has pushed back a bunch of their upcoming horror movies, including the sequel to 2018's Halloween Kills. So originally that was supposed to have opened on October 16th of this year. It has now been pushed to October 15th of next year. So...
that's due to go. That's due to COVID. I assume
it's not said, but it's well. Hold on, let me look at they have a statement here.
You didn't even look at the links. I'm just kidding.
No, I looked at the links. I didn't read their whole statement though because the news article told me what I wanted to know.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. It does say due to the ongoing pandemic. So that one has been pushed, and then as a result, its sequel, Halloween Ends, has also been pushed from the new Halloween Kills date to October 14th of 2022.
So it just basically pushed it just
a year out.
Yeah. Oh. That sucks. Because the newest one was really good.
Yes, and then also Candyman has officially been pushed from September 25th to October 16th, which was that original Halloween Kills date. And then the Forever Purge has also been pushed to July 9th of 2021.
Which
I didn't even know they were doing a new Purge movie.
Right? Thank you. I thought that they were... wasn't the last one... Oh, no, that was like Purge Year 1 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was election year, Purge election year.
The first Purge.
Because
the first Purge.
It had the red hat.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's too many Purge movies, all right? I don't even know if the TV show is still going on.
I still have not seen a Purge movie past the first one. So,
well, I think I've only watched the first two. Or no, the first three. Because Frank Grillo comes back for the second and third one. I don't know if he's in the fourth one. Who cares? It's the Purge. I don't know. It's whatever.
And then moving on to the good Universal news is that they have tapped Leigh Whannell. Did I say that right?
Well, Whannell.
Yeah. The director of
Tomato.
the recent Invisible Man with Elizabeth Moss to direct the upcoming Ryan Gosling-led Wolfman film.
Good choice. Yeah. They actually are like, this did really, really well. We should probably get that same team back to do another movie.
It was funny. I think we did. I don't know if it was last week or the previous episode's podcast or the one before that, but we basically just said straight up in that episode where we talked about it that this is what we wanted.
Yeah,
we wanted this person to direct this movie. Oh, also
have the same exact team do all of the not Dark Universe. What was it called? Was it Dark Universe?
I mean, that was their original name, but that's been shelved.
But you know what I mean? Like, do all of the movies that they were all originally planning on doing.
Right.
Have the same team do all of them, and then you've got your Joss Whedon
exactly
for this, or Zack Snyder, I guess,
or your Mike Flanagan for all your Stephen King movies, and that stuff. So super, super stoked for this. I got what I wanted. I asked the world, give this to me, and it said, all right, you get one.
You get
everything
one.
else is fucked, but you get this one.
We're pushing back everything else. We're pushing back all the movies you want, all the movies you enjoy.
Yeah.
But you get Wolfman with Ryan Baby Goose. So
little baby goose.
Little baby goose.
Sony has officially, that's a word, officially delayed the Monster Hunter film to April 23rd of 2021.
Oh no!
And the world breathed a sigh of relief.
And confusion, because they forgot that this existed.
Yeah, I wish.
Poor Sony.
Yeah.
Making all the right moves in the video game industry, all the wrong ones in the film industry.
I don't know if you saw the story. I don't have it on here because it's a non-story. But there was a story that broke like a week before this. Or maybe a couple days. That was like, oh hey, that Uncharted movie with Tom Holland, it's finally going into production. And then like a day later, they were like, nah, that wasn't true. It's not.
Well, I mean, are you talking about like this week? Because apparently they did start production. Tom Holland took a picture of his cast chair.
Did they?
Yeah.
Last I had seen was the story that they did, and then the immediate correction from Sony saying they had not started it, but it will start soon.
Oh, well, I think we might be combining stories, but I just remember seeing the picture and that being the headline. But yeah, he may have been just jumping the gun and saying like, oh, they're getting ready. Yeah.
It's not filming, but he did share a set photo with them preparing to start. So
yeah, so 6 of 1.
It's around the corner, I guess.
I just remember the clip of Nolan North on his channel Retro Replay saying, I'm more excited for the Last of Us TV show than the Uncharted movie because I don't see Mark Wahlberg playing Sully. So it's just hilarious that this is still going to happen. So we'll see in 2029 when it's done. It's the
first film under the newly branded Sony Films or whatever it is.
Cool. That it makes no difference.
Netflix has officially canceled the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
After what season?
So technically they canceled it after the third one, but it is getting a fourth season with 8 episodes. So
why you gotta bust my balls?
Yeah, well,
ball buster over here.
It's my job, so you're welcome.
I dropped off halfway through the second season, mainly because I was doing kind of a purge of my own with my own TV shows. But I've just straight up started a whole bunch of other new shows and movies, and I have a long list and backlog of movies I want to watch, including movies I've already seen but I want to watch again. So it's a good. It was a really good show. I liked the special effects and the acting. I think the woman who plays Sabrina was the daughter to John Hamm in Mad Men.
Yep.
And so she's got quite a bit of a glow up, which is cool. Yep. And I'm still watching Riverdale. I can't say too much about that, but
Well, it's a bummer for fans of the show, but like you insinuated, it's par for the course now. Like,
with Netflix,
that's why I'm not holding my breath for The Order or anything. Like I'm sure it's going to hit season 3, and they're like, "This is the last one."
When they oversaturate their own market, like if you don't include any other streaming service or any of the content that they have on their own streaming services, when Netflix oversaturates and throws money at every single project that they and then they have to, when they start seeing viewership drop because there's so much content to watch, they just start straight canceling shows that people enjoy.
Well, and they could still have like pretty good numbers. Like Sabrina was still pulling in good numbers regularly every time it dropped. I think the real issue is they hold retention rates too.
Right.
So like if you're dropping all of your seasons all at once, and then like that's all you get from that show for a year, unless you're pulling consistent numbers like Stranger Things, which I feel like is an outlier at this point, you're gonna get side saddled.
So the binge, and we can't speak for everybody because everybody has different ways of watching their TV, but what you're proposing is that the binge watching of an entire season over the course of a weekend may not necessarily be profitable for Netflix, but is enjoyable for the customers.
Well, I think it's profitable in the short term. I think what they're what they're looking at is this got its profit already. Like we get our profit up front. That's it. Move on.
Right.
The issue is then when you're clearly, I guess from their point of view, getting more money from putting new stuff out, and like you said, oversaturating your own market, there's less of a reason for an audience to build itself, because syndication is it's not a thing anymore, for people who just do streaming. Like I don't have cable or satellite in my house. It's just streaming.
Right.
So like watching reruns or whatever is not a thing. It's I watch whatever I want to watch whenever I want to watch it. And that's how the field has overall moved. So now you have that retention rate, like it doesn't matter to them anymore. As long as they keep pulling in people based off of like, oh, this is a new thing, like word of mouth type stuff, then they have no.
It's more about the water cooler moments of the new show rather than, hey, the new season of the favorite show.
Right. The topic of discussion is less, can you believe what happened in that show, and more so, can you believe that show?
Right. You have to finish a whole entire season of a show over the course of a weekend so that you can talk about it on Monday.
Right. Exactly.
Which is sometimes not possible for some people. Anyway, that's a whole topic.
Well, and we've talked about it before. So.
A million times, yeah.
Just Cause is getting a film adaptation from the director of Stuber, and he also did other things too, like hold on.
Please look up the rest of his filmography because I fucking hated Stuber.
It's actually not that bad. I just put Stuber there because I thought it was funny. He did Take Me Home Tonight.
Oh, that was okay.
Which was what's his name? I can never.
Dude, Where's My Car? Dude, Where's My Car? Yeah.
American Pie guy.
Yeah. Sean William Scott.
Him. Yeah.
He was in Dude, Where's My Car?
Was he?
Yeah, it was him and Ashton Kutcher.
Was it? Yeah. I just remember Ashton. And then he also has TV credits for Preacher Future Man and Man Seeking Woman, a couple other things, but yeah.
So he's really more miss than hit for me. Stuber was.
How many episodes in a row can we go with talking about something that Dave Bautista did?
Stuber was not good. Like, when you have the opportunity, or at least the framework, to make a good hour-and-a-half long movie, and then that movie ends up being an hour and 20 minutes. I know that's a 10-minute difference that you see, but it's a very good sign of where that movie is.
If that 10 minutes is hard to sit there, then that's a long time.
Right, but when that 10 minutes could be used to build up to more jokes or more plot points or extend the story. I'm just saying, like, 80 minutes isn't enough time to get a good story told as well as good comedy told. Yeah.
So that's happening. Apparently we're just doing a bunch of, like, this. Is this the Renaissance era of video game adaptations now?
I think so. I mean, with the more recent adaptations of, I know, Detective Pikachu, Tomb Raider did okay. I know it wasn't... I mean, it critically, of course, it wasn't as well received as, say, the Angelina Jolie ones, but I think as an adaptation to the more recent Tomb Raider games, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
What are some of the other more recent ones? We had video game movies that we really... Sonic the Hedgehog was fucking fantastic.
It was a movie, yeah, sure.
I cried. Hey, shut up. When he got his shoes, man.
With the shoes.
With the shoes. No, I actually really enjoyed Sonic. So I think that there is a potential for good video game movies to be made now that we are being able to look at the greener grass on the other side. It just... You need to have good talent behind the camera and behind the pen.
Yeah.
And I think that the Stuber director, with the filmography that you mentioned, doesn't give me enough hope for this. And, you know, it's Just Cause, so it's not a high profile, it's not Call of Duty, it's not a Madden movie, which is just...
That's just football.
That's just football. I'm trying to name the really popular game series.
If we're going from that point of view, then ESPN has been chucking out video game adaptations.
Good content every year.
Forever.
For decades. No, but I'm just saying, like, there is a potential for good video game movies, but I don't think that I don't have faith in this. Much like the Monster Hunter Paul W.S. Anderson film, which...
That thing's going to be a fucking train wreck.
So we'll see, you know, Tony, and I love Tony Jaa. I wish him the best. This was a bad movie to throw himself in. He's been in better action.
He's probably getting paid a pretty penny, so.
Yeah, but we'll see.
Hopefully, anyway. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still Tony Jaa, right? You're not going to look at him.
He's still Tony Jaa, yeah. He's still the protector.
Yeah. Moving on, a Gotham series has been greenlit by HBO Max. It will be a prequel series taking place in the same universe as the Matt Reeves Batman movie that is coming out. So we just ended Gotham. Yeah. And now we're going to do another one.
Yeah.
Okay, like as much crap as like I want to give it, on the flip side, if the Batman is really good, and I think generally I have good expectations for that movie. And Matt Reeves is on the production team for this series, which it appears that he is. Yeah. Maybe this will be the first live action Batman series that's really good since the Adam West one. Which varies in quality.
Gotham was good. For the most part, over the course of the entire series, Gotham was good. You have to go in with a different expectation for that series than you do for any other Batman form of media. It's kind of a combination.
Remember when we started that series and said it was all going to be Jim Gordon and how his life was like before the Batman, and then it just ended up being the Batman again?
Yeah.
Remember when the general premise was Muppet Babies, but with Batman?
I'm just saying there was...
Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that.
I love this comic book fan that's just really depreciative of Gotham specifically, and Muppet Babies. Who hates Muppet Babies?
Muppet Babies is a treasure.
It is a treasure, but he didn't like it. what I was gonna say is, you can appreciate Gotham if you go into it with the right frame of mind, or enjoy it with the right number of people. It's a hell of a lot of fun when you're drunk. But what I'm gonna
that's not a positive, man.
It is a positive. Game of Thrones was much better when it was...
No, you're saying to enjoy this 5-season television show, which is like over 100 episodes, that you have to get drunk every time you watch it.
Not every time.
Fucked up, man.
For some of the episodes, yeah.
Oh,
you do.
So the other ones you're watching while you're hungover and you already feel like shit and you're gonna double down on it.
Oh my gosh, this is another Riddler centric one. No, the way that they changed some of the characters I didn't like. No, the fact that they are doing this so recently after Gotham, and the socio-political environment that we're in right now, considering corrupt cops and how society is dealing with that right now, I don't think it's probably a correct way to create a universe within your streaming platform, HBO Max.
Honestly,
I don't think that...
not even thinking of that. They're probably just like,
Batman. So... yeah, they have to have at least thought of the impact on what it's going to do to its audience or to what preceded it. They have to have at least thought of one version of this where, oh yeah, even if Matt Reeves the Batman isn't successful, we're still doing this show? Oh, okay, so I guess we're doing it then. Or even if it is successful, oh, I guess we're doing it. But aren't people going to confuse it with Gotham or any of the other Gotham City Sirens that came out in 2003? Remember that?
Was that a thing?
You don't remember? It was only one season of like 8 episodes, I think. It was on HBO or Stars or something. But it had Barbara Gordon, the Huntress.
I remember it being talked about, but I thought it didn't even come out.
Yeah, no, it was like around the time when black spandex was every superhero's costume. So it was just one of those, everything was BDSM dark and gritty. Years. Yeah, the early 2000s was rough and leathery.
Let's see.
I'm not looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Matt Reeves the Batman because I think he's an excellent director, and I think Robert Pattinson might have what it takes to bust his chops and be the Batman with the chops being busted.
I have so many chops. Just call me mutton.
Just waiting to get busted.
Okay, let's see. 2014 is what this pops up with.
No, this one was like early 2000s.
I'm literally looking at it right now.
Oh, no, it wasn't Gotham City Sirens. I'm sorry. It was Birds of Prey.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of, not Gotham City. Because that was the movie that they were going to make with Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Like, I think that's the next Harley Quinn-centric movie.
It looks like they're... It looks like this was possibly a thing. Well, no, there's maybe a pilot. I don't know. I can't.
Like, no, I've seen a DVD box set of this
of Gotham City Sirens.
No, not Gotham City Sirens. Birds of Prey.
No, I know Birds of Prey is a thing, but I'm looking at Gotham City Sirens.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the next Harley Quinn movie. Yeah,
this says 2014, so I don't know what that is. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Moving on. Netflix is producing Atomic Blonde 2.
Heck yeah. I'm the only person who cares, because I was the only one who saw it. Woo! Yeah.
I still need to see the first one. I heard it was good.
I mean, if you enjoyed The Old Guard, it's that, but in the 80s, and she's a Russian spy. So, or not a Russian spy. Who knows?
This came out at like the same time as Red Sparrow, yeah?
Around within 6 months of each other, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Cold War spy, but this one's it's an action film directed by one of the directors from the John Wick series.
Yeah,
David Leitch, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. And also based off a graphic novel and starring Charlize Theron. So if you like The Old Guard, check it out. There you go. Boom.
So yeah, you get to look forward to that, as does the other person who may or may not have watched the first Atomic Blonde.
Well, I mean, other people saw it, but I'm the only person that I know of that saw
it. It did pretty good at the box office. I think it made like 120 off of 30 mil. Yeah.
Oh, well, then I'm just a fucking asshole that doesn't know what he's talking about. So.
Well, maybe just no one around you has seen it.
That's okay. Okay.
Lucasfilm has announced a new Star Wars animated series coming to Disney Plus, based off the Bad Batch of clone troopers from season 7 of Clone Wars.
I was like, you were waiting for me to say, yeah. They were introduced in the final season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
You watched it. I haven't gotten it yet.
I know, but you looked over at me and like I was like,
please,
yeah.
Please help.
You just said, okay, yeah. So it's such a silent grasp for like, please, I need the answer. Yes. They're only in an arc of like 3 episodes, I think, at the beginning of season 7 of the Clone Wars. But I mean, they're a lot of fun, if a little tropey. But you kind of get that when you get a ensemble cast, all voiced by the same voice actor. I don't know why I'm still doing quotation marks. Yeah,
they're fun. They're like little bunnies.
But we have fun here. Yeah, basically, it looks like it's probably going to be a Seven Samurai type of premise, and so let's see how it goes. We're going to be seeing. Should I spoil it? Can I spoil it? There is a character that joins the Bad Batch at the end of the arc that is a important character throughout Clone Wars. Not super important. Echo joins the Bad Batch at the end of the arc. So we'll continue to see how his story plays out if he joins.
I have no context, so
you'll get there. Hopefully, he's with them by the time this takes place. I think this will probably take place after their.
It does take place after season 7.
Okay, then there you go.
And from what it seems like, there may be Rebels characters that pop up as well.
Hey, there you go. I guess I need to continue watching that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like, I always enjoyed when the clones showed up in the Clone Wars, so I like those episodes centered around them. So.
Well, their name is in the title.
Yeah. And then last up, we got some, I guess, reviews or reactions to NBC's large or full rollout of their streaming service, Peacock.
Hey, I said no cursing. I'm pretty sure I've cursed throughout this episode.
Oh, I definitely have.
Yeah. Oops.
I think I lasted like 10 minutes.
Yeah, maybe a minute for me.
Yeah, Peacock has some issues apparently. For one, the service advertised a bunch of movies, like big movies, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, or not Jurassic World, a bunch of Jurassic Park movies, The Matrix, bunch of other stuff. I think I have a list here of everything that's leaving. All these big movies that they advertised leading up to their launch are already leaving the service less than a month after their rollout. So let me see if I can get a list here. So we have Fast and the Furious, Blair Witch, which I don't know, Children of Men, which featured heavily in their advertising.
Yeah, it's it's right there.
Jurassic Park, Matrix, Side is Stuck, The Mummy, Shrek.
How can you line all of this up? Like, they know somebody didn't tell somebody something. And I know you can basically sum up every type of conflict in a movie studio by saying that, but
my wife is wrecking things in the bathroom. Yeah, I think it just really smacks of. I'm sure everyone on their end knew it was happening. I think they did this with.
Hey, let's release it, and then as soon as our new app is launched, everybody's getting into it. They're excited. They get to watch live TV. They get to watch these new originals. Yeah. Brave New World is out. Yeah. People are super excited about that adaptation for a book they had to read in high school. So what we should do is lose the contracts for all the streaming rights for these movies, these classic movies. They're not movies that are like, you can also watch them on Crackle. Yeah, I mean...
Right. Well, they're part of their value get, right? It's the same thing. HBO Max actually just ran back a decision. I'm not sure if we talked about it or not. I think it was one of the stories that got pushed last time, where initially a bunch of DC films were going to be leaving the service at the end of July. And then there was such a blowback from that they extended their rights for those through the end of the year.
Right.
So it's kind of in that same vein where they present this as part of your value proposition. Come to Peacock. You can watch these great movies.
Come on over to the cock.
A bunch of these award-winning movies that you may or may not own, but hey, you don't have to put the DVD in or whatever. Yeah, you're killing yourself over there.
Hey, you want to go watch The Matrix over at the cock? It's such a dumb fucking name.
I mean,
it's a dumb name.
It is a dumb name.
They can come up with anything else. HBO, as unoriginal as they were, Max. Okay, cool. Even though you already had Max, you had Go and you had Now Disney has Plus.
Now they have Now and Max. Go is
now
gone.
Max. Go is gone. Go left, and now HBO is HBO. Fuck, we did this last time.
We did.
It's a dumb fucking name. NBC.
It's super dumb, yeah.
Dude. I don't have anything else to add. I mean, I've tried using the app. I was gonna watch Brave New World for this episode, but
I was this close to jumping on it as well because I did a. So I will say one of the big propositions of this service is that you can use it entirely for free, mostly for free, I should say. They have a pretty sizable catalog available to you if you don't pay for anything. That being said, you can opt in for, I think it's a $4.99 version, which is still ad supported, but you have access to their entire catalog as opposed to just like a smaller section.
Like the first episode of a show or something like that.
And then if you bump that up to $9.99, you get the full access plus no ads. So all that to say is you do have the ability to stream from it completely free. You don't have to spend a dime unless there's something specific that you want to watch on there that is behind that paywall. But all their new originals that they just launched with are available to watch for free right now. So Brave New World, Intelligence, I think it's called, is a David Schwimmer.
David Schwimmer. I showed that earlier. Yeah, I did not know David Schwimmer was in a new show. He has not aged well, but yeah.
So that, I mean, like, that is a value get. But then, again, when your advertising is, like, so heavily focused on all these movies that you are knowingly about to lose halfway through the month, that's a problem. Doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence in your streaming platform. And in fact, even though I downloaded the app and I browsed there, I was like, there's nothing really
not much. I've got live basketball and I've got movies I've already seen a million times.
There were two things that legitimately got me excited, and they were both like of the same vein. So the first one was they have a bunch of the classic Universal monster movies on there. They have Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman. I think Invisible Man is on there. I don't think they have Creature of the Black Lagoon though. I don't think that's on there.
Deleting now.
So they have all those, and then they also have, and this is very me, and I think I've talked about this one other time, is I'm a huge Abbott and Costello fan. And they do have the horror movie specials of Abbott and Costello on there as well. So Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Meet the Wolfman.
Wolfman is part of Frankenstein. Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman.
Okay.
But that being said, I have like the collector's box set of literally all of the Abbott and Costello like skits and movies and shit already. So I just pull those and watch them whenever I want.
Yeah, so the not one of the few, because I know that there are still Abbott and Costello fans out there, but the people who have probably already owned the media of Abbott and Costello for a long time and appreciate them probably have that media already.
Yeah.
Is this behind the paywall?
I'm actually not sure. And that's another thing. Their layout is super confusing. I don't like it. So the way it works is when you load the app is you have kind of your standard like horizontal scrolling. And you can, go left or right to look at them as you would.
Doing it.
You're trying. You're trying there.
Browse. There's channels,
there you go.
trending, and browse.
So it might be a little hard to see on there, but you can kind of see those long horizontal bars. And your standard reaction is to just do that and go to the left, see what's all the way down there. And then you stop, as Nick does right there, and you're like, well, where's everything else? And there's no, just single area where you can say, I want all the things but alphabetical. Until you discover that when you launch the app, you can actually, instead of going to the left, or moving your finger to the left, you can move your finger to the right. And they're hiding off to the side is show me everything. Yeah. It's like
just do an endless scroll.
It's not endless though.
That's what I'm saying. Is do an endless scroll, much like Netflix, where it'll loop in on itself, and then you realize, I've already seen this. That's probably all that they have to offer.
I hate that thing that Netflix does, anyways. I don't like horizontal scrolling. It's the most inefficient way of browsing a catalog that you could possibly think of. That's anytime I want to browse a catalog, I want it all in the vertical lines. I just want a grid of shit. That's all I want.
Well, you can still do that with Netflix. It's just the search feature.
Well, yeah, but I'm just responding to your endless scroll thing. I don't want that. That to me is not a good fallback. I guess it's better than the alternative that Peacock does, but even then, I don't like it.
Their UI is confusing, though. I agree.
But anyway, what I was saying before is with those niche titles, those are good gets, and if you're someone who's into those niche titles, that it could very well be a value proposition for you. But then you run the risk of most of those people who are into that already have physical copies or other means of viewing those. So you're really not targeting a good base. Your good base would be targeting people with those big movies that you initially did. But now that you're dropping them less than a month in, you're gonna who's gonna jump on that?
Quibi had a better launch than Peacock has had.
I think Peacock is just going to fall into the same realm as CBS All Access, really.
Yeah, where it's just kind of a tertiary tier of, it's very niche as to what you want. You want to watch the entire series of Columbo? That's on Peacock. So
yeah, they have some weird gets.
But we've said it almost 3 times now, but the people who are going to watch that consistently and continuously are the people who probably own the DVDs of that. It's an older generation thing. My mom
that's
loves
literally
Frasier,
you have cable and that's literally the only thing that you use on your DVR. I had to record all my Columbos.
There you go. Murder, She Wrote. those kinds of things.
So yeah, there's that, and then there's a bunch of other problems going on with the rollout. In a similar vein to HBO Max, it is not supported on Roku or Fire Sticks, which I know licensing deals and stuff like that fall into play with that sort of thing, but that make it work, guys.
That's a day one thing.
You are cutting off such a huge and significant part of your base for something as silly as a viewing platform. And so they're supposedly rolling out a PlayStation app, and I assume an Xbox app as well within the next week or two. But
bad timing.
That's still if you compare a console user base to those who are using Fire Sticks or Roku's, you're on the latter, you're including people who aren't gaming,
right?
So like even with that alternative, you're still missing out on a huge percentage of possible viewers. So I don't know. I would think you would just want to make that work as much as possible. But yeah, maybe it's not on them, but
it's on them.
Yeah,
it's on them. There were plenty of decisions that got all the way to the higher ups that they said, yeah, that's fine. It's whatever. Just
and then perhaps most confusingly, you can't use an external monitor to stream from Peacock. So let's say you have a Roku, right? And you can't use it. And you're like, okay, well, here's what I'll do. I know you can stream on your PC. My PC is right next to my television. I'll just take the HDMI cable from my computer and put it over into my living room television. Should be fine to go, right? Nope. It blocks the HDMI output.
For just Peacock.
For just Peacock.
Yeah. That's like actively trying to make sure that your product doesn't work in the most easily accessible way possible.
Yeah.
They're going out of their way to do it.
Well, and it's like, okay, so NBC probably has a bunch of deals with like their cable programming. Their, not just their main NBC channel, right?
Right.
You have all your offshoot channels like USA, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure, like those subsidiaries or whatever, are going to want to still make sure that they're pulling in people via live viewing because they're stuck in the dark ages. And that's how they are getting their antiquated numbers or some bullshit. So now you have like this tug between like these internalized mechanisms which are inherently opposed to one another. Streaming is inherently opposed to cable viewing. Cable viewing is inherently opposed to streaming. Like
that's the world we live in. Yeah.
They can't coexist. They just won't. And they can coexist, but they won't because of the people in charge. So, I think that's where a lot of that problem comes from. But even still, like, they had to have tested this, right? Like, this seems like it was deliberately put in place. Like, we do not want people using external monitors. We don't want them just plugging in an HDMI cable to their television from their PC. It's the same decision.
It's the same decision that Quibi made when doing the exact same thing, and it not ostracized. What is it? It sidelined all of the people who wanted to try to view even if it was in, vertical mode, being able to watch a show on their TV, so it's more accessible. They can watch the content that's on their platform.
For what it's worth, ostracize was a correct word.
Oh, fuck. God. Shit. And there I go cursing again. No, but you can watch Quibi material in horizontal mode so that you should be able to watch it in a 16:9 format on your TV. Why would you actively go against trying to stream your platform onto another device just so that you can watch it in the way it was meant to be watched, which is on your phone in vertical mode?
Yeah.
It's like, just make your content the most easily accessible way possible. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's a dumb decision. Even if it's a marketing one, it's a dumb decision. Yeah. People are dumb.
That's
dumb.
True. They are that.
They are that. Well, if people wanted, if people wanted to contact us and tell us how dumb they are, how silly and mush brains they are, being both in quarantine or back at work, or just meeting somebody on the street and say, that guy's dumb. How would they contact us and tell us about that dumb person?
So if you want to tell us how dumb we are, then you can email us at lightscameranonsense@gmail.com.
I don't think you're actually dumb, listeners. I love you, Mom. But lightscameranonsense@gmail.com. So that's the best way that they can give us their questions, comments, and concerns about the podcast, the way that we do it, the way that we're dressed. I have a hole in my shirt. Somebody should probably tell me about that before we publish this episode, but I'm the one that's going to have to hit the word publish on that button there.
You're in charge of it. So
I am in charge of it, and it's going to be one of those days where it's not a lot of work is going to be put into it. So this has been Lights Camera Nonsense. keeping you updated despite our best efforts. Make sure to tune in every 2 weeks for all the latest news, reviews, and Zach.
How do you do?
Yeah, that dance is freaking me out. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Bye.